Josephine Eager join us. Joe's from Chatime. So Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Just as a little bit of an intro, my name is Mel, and I am a customer success manager for EdApp in Sydney, and joined by George.
Hey everyone, I'm George. So I'm on the customer success team here in Sydney as well. But yeah, more importantly, Joe, if you'd like to introduce yourself and a bit of background on Chatime, that'd be awesome.
Fantastic. Thanks, George and Mel, for having me along today. So as I've been introduced, I'm Josephine. You can call me Joe. Only my mother calls me Josephine when I'm in trouble. So hopefully I'm not going to be in trouble today. My role with Chatime Group is as the National Training People and Culture Manager. And so with Chatime Group, we have Chatime, which is the bubble tea brand. Currently, we've got about 150 locations across the country. We also have another brand called Gubne, which is a Korean oven-baked chicken restaurant that will be franchised out in the next 18 to 24 months. And I also look after our central support team, which is our head office team, doing all our learning development, making sure we're living and breathing our culture and things like that.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, Joe. And we thought it might be a little bit fun to start with an icebreaker before we dive into all of our training related questions. So our question to kick it off, Joe, if you could see any band or musician in concert, alive or dead, who would it be?
I am an old John Farnham fan. He's an absolute rock god, and he was my first concert, Whispering Jack, when I was little, primary school age. But always Kylie. Kylie's always a good one too. Take me to anything. I'll go anywhere. As long as I've got a good margarita for me.
Nice.
Agreed.
What's yours, Mel?
Mine would have to be Elvis Presley. I just, oh my goodness. I saw the movie a few weeks back and my life changed. So 100% Elvis Presley. How about you, George?
Along the movie themes, I'd have to say Queen. Bohemian Rhapsody was an awesome film. I actually took that one off Joyce, who's on the live chat today. So thanks, Joyce. But that's just a friendly reminder that this is a live webinar. So if you do have any questions, Joyce is on the chat. So they'll feed those questions back, whether it's myself, Mel, or Joe. Feel free to pop in some questions.
Awesome. And our second question for you, Joe, is obviously from Chatime. What is your favorite drink from Chatime?
Oh, so interestingly enough, I'd never had a Chatime until I started working for the brand. I am a lemon green tea that has no ice, half ice, no sugar, and then absolutely every single mix-in that you could possibly find, which then counteracts the fact that I have no sugar in my drink.
Love it.
So,
that sounds delicious.
Nice. And what's yours, Mel?
Mine, I would have to go with the grapefruit green tea with aloe. I love aloe in drinks. Might be a bit weird to some, but so tasty. And you, George?
Probably go standard black tea. I know it's like really original, but I just don't think you can go wrong. But yours sounds really nice, Joe. It's just a bit of an order to remember when I next go in. So I'll have to write that one down. But if anyone's got any recommendations for who they would see in concert or their favorite tea or drink, pop them in the chat, and we'll be happy to read them out. We've got a tarot.
Ooh, taro and pearls. Oh, you'd be in with my team.
Yummy.
Awesome. Right, that's enough of the fun stuff.
Awesome. Yes, we'll get straight into it.
Jump into it.
Perfect. So, Joe, we would love to hear what your training looked like before you came onto EdApp. What did that look like? Any challenges you may have had?
What did our training look like? So I have been with Chatime Group now probably about 16 months. And so when I joined, we had another platform and our training was very much death by PowerPoint or PDF. Not very inspiring, not very engaging, very static, wasn't current or relevant. And a lot of it hadn't been updated since 2015. And then, then we had, we have our business partners who are new. We had a face-to-face kind of training program that, again, just put them in a location and we kind of flew by and sort of fingers crossed that they would learn what they needed to learn. So it Wasn't great, if I could put that in a nutshell. Hopefully nobody from my business is on there, but yeah, no, it wasn't great.
Gotcha. And you're also using Deputy as well. Is that right, Joe? So it's going to manage your whole staff timesheets, and yeah, you can tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use Deputy for rostering time and attendance. So obviously all our rostering, the timesheets, so we maintain legislative requirements. For us as well, having Deputy allows us to minimise our risk as much as possible, because I can dive in there and see, are people actually putting their team on? Are they being paid? All those types of things. And when I first started with the brand, I like to say there was probably about 5 or 6 different platforms that our team members would need to go through to actually be able to start work in a tea brewery. The one caveat our CFO gave me when I started saying, okay, we're going to change everything, was I can't get rid of Deputy.
Okay.
So that really started me on there. Well, if I can't get rid of Deputy, what do I need to do to make sure that we can bring to life and streamline all of our platforms so that it makes it simpler for our customers and our team members?
Okay, interesting. And what was it about Deputy which made it so core to your business, and why you didn't want to get rid of it? Do you just love Deputy, or yeah, what's the
I think for him, it was it's user friendly. It is easy to navigate around, but trying to transition 1,800 people off it would have been quite difficult, particularly as it had only been in maybe for a few years before I came. And so we were still working with a bit of engagement with some of our business partners who'd been around for quite a while. Yep. So changing too much, too fast would have been horrendous. But also the platform itself works really well for us. It's really functional. And it makes life simple. It is so easy to use. So
perfect.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Good to hear. And I guess customers in similar situations love Deputy as well. How does training flow into Deputy? How do the two platforms kind of cross over?
So our key thing, or my key thing when I started looking for it, was a platform, an LMS that could integrate into Deputy, so that our team members, we've got a highly casualised workforce. 98% of who we hire are casual. And they're anywhere from 14 to 25. So we're quite young and they're casual, and they might only work 1 or 2 shifts a week. So we needed to make sure that it was single sign-on, streamlined. They didn't have to have 25 different things to be able to come to work. Hence, with training now, when our business partners add a new team member to their location, what happens then is it automatically syncs, and their EdApp login gets sent to them. Then all our mandatory training filters through once they've signed on and activated their account, and then they can start their training even before they come into a tea brew for their first shift. And we're covering off the basics, which means we're speeding up our training processes, and we're giving people a better foundation, because when they come in, they know what the tea urn looks like, as opposed to starting from ground zero.
Gotcha. Oh, that's awesome. So if I was to join the Chatime group, I could be given my training, know when I'm working, get that all completed before I actually start my shift. Is that how you have it set
Absolutely.
up?
Absolutely.
You have did you say you have around 1,800 staff? Is that in Australia or globally? That's
Australia. So we have about 1,800 across our network. Yep. We have 150 locations, and we are, again, only 2 of those are corporate locations. So we are predominantly franchised. And so when we talk about our team, that ranges from your casual who might work 1 day a week to our business partners. So everybody who works within our business, and including our central support team, are all on Deputy. And they have the access to EdApp as well, so they can see what our tea risters and our team members are actually learning, so that we can keep them as close to the business as possible.
Okay, awesome. And how's that growth going in terms of number of employees? Are you growing pretty quickly at the minute?
We are growing incredibly quickly. We have a very rapid growth plan, and much to my team's not dismay, but anxiety, is we've got another 20 or 30 locations coming on before the end of the year.
Oh,
wow.
That's exciting.
We are kept very busy, and then next year we aim to hit we want it, well, 250 is coming sooner rather than later for us.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. And off topic, but are you opening a store in Rose Bay by any chance? Just putting it out there.
There'll be one in Bondi Beach very shortly.
Okay. That's close enough. That's close enough.
Yeah. So Bondi Beach is the next one in the eastern suburbs. Rose Bay, I'll have to talk to the development team.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're also taking over the master franchise of New Zealand and the US as of next year too. So they will also then start coming through utilising Deputy and EdApp.
How exciting. And with you mentioned they're like seasonal workers. So is there quite a high attrition rate in terms of shifts and do workers come and go?
We have, it's hard. So we do have a high retention rate because we do have a lot of school kids. So they can tend to stick, whilst they're going through to school. A lot of our uni students, again, because particularly if they get on well with their business partner, they will stay until throughout uni, or if they have to go off to placement. But obviously, like any QSR business, we do have, high turnover. It's expected. If we can have a retention rate of 6 to 12 months, we're happy, which means we have to make things really fast and simple and easy. We have stability, and then our peak seasons are always Easter and then obviously summer. So we flex up then, and then we'll flex back down during winter. And even during the pandemic, we had to flex up a lot because people were still being able to order via Uber and Deliveroo and things like that.
All right.
Gotcha.
And how have you found, with having a seasonal workforce and a bit of a casual workforce as well, how has EdApp helped you train through that?
So we're really fortunate. People want to work for us. So our brand is loved by our team members because our team members used to all be customers, basically. So keeping them engaged in terms of their learning is quite easy. And I say that, and it's not that easy, but because we're a fun brand, we don't take ourselves too seriously. A lot of our training is quite quirky. We're not shy of a few puns, and we keep it short and sharp. So we find that our team love it. And so even aside from their mandatory training, they'll go in on their own time and have a look around, have a play, do other courses and things. Because we find that the people who work with us absolutely love the brand and they want to know as much as possible.
Okay, awesome. That was actually a question from the chat here. How do you keep people engaged to use EdApp? So do you use any features like leaderboards, anything like that on our engagement suite to help with that?
So we do use leaderboards, particularly when we're doing, so we've got our basic training, our mandatory training, and then each campaign and each brand marketing event, we will then have another training that gets released. So whether that's monthly, fortnightly, whatever that it looks like from the marketing team. So with those ones in particular, we use leaderboards because we find that drives competition, but it also then drives compliance to understanding what drinks are coming out, how you can recommend it and sell it, which then increases the performance and the conversion when the customer comes into the tea brewery. Our business partners, because we're 98% franchise, their business partners can then also activate if they want to use incentives and things. So we'll run some incentives, but the business partners themselves, if they want to incentivize their team to ensure that they have 100% completion of mandatory courses, they can run their own incentives as well.
Okay, fantastic. And do they create the courses, or does your team create the courses as well? Or do you rely on EdApp to help create? Who actually creates that content?
Mainly me, because
Yeah.
I love a little bit of content creation. So I mainly create the bulk of our bespoke content.
Awesome.
We're really fortunate. We've got a few templates and things. We have found, and I have found it's quite easy and fast to create content, and then standardized pieces such as WHS, some of the food safety, we can draw across. Then when we talk about our values, which are really near and dear to our heart, there are inclusive courses that we will bring across from you guys through to us, so that we don't have to recreate the wheel. But yeah.
Okay, brilliant. got a couple of questions here, Joe, as they're kind of coming in. This one is from the live chat. So have you built a strategy around assessing skills, like how to handle difficult customers and anything around that? Have you sort of created those courses?
We do have our sort of customer complaints and things. So we have 2-tiered. So our casual team, they just need to know, what the process is of how to handle a customer complaint or a difficult customer. We would never want to put a 15-year-old in a situation where they're dealing with somebody who's really cranky. So we then further upskill our business partners. So we can absolutely see that they've created and completed their course. We will do competency checks with any of our business partners and our T legends, which are our store managers, to make sure that they're understanding what they need to be doing. And if they have the ability and they're feeling really confident to act on the information. We use, and we will start using in more detail, we've got for our business partner onboarding, which is a 3-week face-to-face training program to give them the way to go before they take on their own business. We use the practical assessments there, and my team do those. We will start filtering that out to the rest of the network so they can do it with their own team training as well. And then we've got incident reporting. So whenever we have an incident, if there's a key trend, we will reassign a course and make sure that that's been followed up and, people are understanding what they can do and what needs to be happening in terms of WHS, safety, all of those types of things.
Okay, awesome. And on that instant reporting, we spoke earlier, are you using a little bit of iAuditor at the minute, or are you planning to in the future? Can you say more about that?
Absolutely. So our BDMs, so our field team use they use iAuditor to do our quality assurance checks. So they do that. We've just gone to a 6-monthly format. And then they use it as well for their T-Brewery visit checklist, which is a monthly store visit. What we are looking at, though, and we're currently sort of talking through to the iAuditor team, is how do we make that more accessible and digitize a lot of what we have that's paper-based at the moment for our business partners to be able to use and the tea breweries to be able to log in. And that way we can then also ensure the compliance piece. And if we're seeing things that are missing, we can then link it straight into EdApp. At the moment, our BDMs are probably the only ones who have that link to iAuditor and EdApp, but we do next year want to start expanding that out.
Wonderful. And for anyone that's listening in who doesn't know what iAuditor is another brand, part of the Safety Culture family, and they are a mobile app where you can essentially digitize checklists. So for any safety checks, operational checks, it just really helps you to have that all centralized in one place. And practical assessments as well, just to touch on that. That's anyone that's listening in has no idea what they are or has never used them before. That's part of EdApp, and that's where you can actually do on-the-job training. So especially within retail or QSR, you can be on the ground assessing your staff in real time and just checking off if they've done their jobs correctly and know the proper tasks. So definitely a great new feature.
Awesome. And in terms of other, features, Joe, in terms of analytics and reporting, do you use that information regularly to make changes to your program? Yeah, how's that kind of helped you on that side of things?
So with the analytics, we live and die by analytics and data insight, because whatever the data tells you the truth, and then we can actually then start filtering and making sure we're hitting the right mark, and if not, we can change course. With our analytics, we absolutely look at course summary, user login, all of those things, but we also then overlay it into Deputy and make sure that the course completion is happening with active users. And if there's a low course completion rate, we will look at, have they worked in the last month? Are they've got a shift upcoming? Okay. So that we can be really targeted and making sure that we're just not nagging people who have gone away for 6 months. Yeah. And then making sure, again, if they're not using it, why? So we'll go out to the business partners and actually say, what's going on? Why aren't you working with this? We use it as our central point of truth as well. So anything updated is in EdApp. So if our teams aren't completing things and they're saying we've done it before, they're missing out on all our changes. So it gives us insight into potentially where the processes and the standards are not being met.
Got it. Okay. And that helps influence your courses and your sort of content and moving forward. That's awesome. Taking a couple of steps back, actually, this was a question, and we've gone right into the product, but your EdApp launch and getting your learners on board and your store managers, could you kind of talk us through your launch strategy and journey, and any tips for anyone listening, how to get your learners excited and engaged with this? Because I'd imagine it's a pretty big change from PowerPoint to an app. So curious how that went.
It went really well. We're really lucky because everybody did not like our previous platform. Okay. We also had, I hosted a lot of education sessions, went out, educated our BDMs on how to talk about it. I get really excited by learning. So it was very easy for me to be able to, drive that. For us, because our team member base they love bite-sized content, they like videos, this is how they receive their information. We met their need, so we didn't have to do such a big sell. So we found that our implementation for us was really swift as well, and nothing crashed, nobody got locked out, I didn't destroy anything, and I tried. Right. I'm not very tech-minded, so if I can break a system, I probably would. So our implementation went smoothly, and I think because that went so smoothly as well, that also helped with the engagement. We had a really high uptake straight off the bat. And now it's just that continuous evolution of, these are the changes, this is keeping coming. We work under continuous improvement and that ethos of continued learning too. So we're trying lots of different ways to keep it engaging and making sure they're continuously using it. My team are our demographic, and so they have great ideas around, well, we haven't talked about this, we need to go here, because I am well past our team member demographic.
Gotcha. And with that feedback loop coming back to yourself, do you use survey templates, or is it more team meetings? How do you get feedback from the team to make that continuous improvement?
So my team we at our monthly meeting, we'll have a look, where are we at, what are we doing, what's working, what's not. Then we also have our BDMs just come direct and say, this didn't hit the mark, this is the feedback I got from our business partners, or they come directly to me. We have a very open door culture within Chatime Group. So our franchisees and our team members, they feel comfortable enough to say they didn't like something, or if they love something. Sometimes I take it on board, sometimes I don't, depending. Sometimes it's an opinion. But we try and keep it as open as possible, and then we assess what's been said. Is it a once-off, or is it numerous times and it's not just somebody not liking a change?
And just jumping off of George's comment about launches, in terms of maybe new courseware that you've put together, how do you tend to present anything new that you've created? Is there communications that go out, in-store reminders?
So we do it twofold. We'll do it three ways, actually. So we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to our network. So anything new gets put into that. If it is a brand campaign or a major change, we're about to move to, we're phasing out single-use plastics across the country before New South Wales and Vic need to for November. So we've just recently released we call it Project Happy Turtle. So we've yesterday released the training module on that, which was accompanied by a huge comms pack from our brand team, our supply chain team, about what it impacts for the business. And the links are embedded in that. And then we also just push it out via notifications.
Fantastic.
Great. Is that push notifications through EdApp, or which is a different tool? Okay. Awesome. That's really cool. And going, I guess, with the deputy integration, just so everyone's aware, the information which is passed across is I guess, if you could run us through what information is passed across, or is there anything else which you'd like to pull from deputy into EdApp which isn't available? If you could just kind of walk us through that.
So with deputy, the minute somebody adds a team member, they automatically sync into EdApp, and it just goes naturally. The only thing that we don't pull across into from deputy to EdApp is their tax file numbers, their bank accounts.
Yeah.
We also can't pull across their workplace contracts and things if they've used the onboarding piece. So for us, we've got enough information to do what we need to do. So at the moment, we don't necessarily need anything different because our business partners, they need their food safety supervisor's certificate. So they upload that into deputy, but we can then see that and link it with our actual food safety course that we've created that's relevant to the tea brewery, because we're a low risk with food safety, but there are some key caveats that everybody needs to understand and know.
Okay, got it. But that makes sense. And with your like super exciting growth plans, do you feel like your systems are now all set up so you can sort of meet those growth plans as you add on deputy, adds on with EdApp? How's that all looking from like a platform point of view?
We're there with deputy and EdApp. There are some other ones that I need to either get rid of or streamline down.
Gotcha.
So that's high on the list of priorities next. But in terms of growth, we're pretty comfortable that no matter what country we're operating in, we'll be able to maintain and keep growing and keep our team members learning, which is the key for us.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And with that overseas expansion, will there be any other languages which you're developing EdApp courses in, or is everything going to be in English?
At this stage, as far as I'm aware, because it's the US and New Zealand, it will be in English. Having said that, I mean, our business partners currently, I'd say 60% English is their second language, and a lot of them are immigrants who've come across. So it's really exciting. So we do, for some of our team members and some of our business partners, we'll have to translate things into other languages, which EdApp does really simply, so it makes life easy. Yeah, so at this stage, we create in English, and then if we need to, we'll translate it out.
Okay, perfect. Sounds like the platform's all set, which is great. We just had a comment here. We spoke about this earlier, Joe. People loving the Chatime ads, satisfy your strange. I actually said this earlier when I called up with Joe. I think they're really cool. But then Ali, I think she might be on this call, blew my mind. When you put your phone up to it, it actually changes the ad, which I thought they were cool enough as they were.
Oh, wow.
But then once you put your phone on it, it actually changes it. So yeah, just a bit of feedback there, Joe.
It's it's augmented reality. Like, it's fantastic technology. Our brand team and the agency that created it are winning lots of awards. We've been able to create a course base of that in EdApp as well, so that, again, the team members who may not be close to locations where they've got the billboards can actually have a play with it too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic.
Cool.
And Joe, just a question from, I guess, an ROI perspective. What impact has using EdApp had on the business?
So we definitely see, and so SYS is probably a really great one to talk about. So that was a campaign that was purely above the line. So there was no drink creation. There was nothing new. It was literally about creating a family of characters and driving customers into our locations, where our team members then had to convert the customer into a sale and a loyalist and all of the different things. So we've definitely seen with that one in particular, because it was easy to track, an increase in drink buying and loyalty app downloads, which is a key metric for us. All of our brand campaigns, we've seen increase, and we're smashing a lot of our targets at the moment in our forecasts, which is part to do with driving the customer in, but then our team are knowing and making the drinks to a consistently high standard, and they're offering them. So we're seeing that ROI working hand in hand with the brand team. What we do know is, as a business, and particularly a franchise business, the minute one of our business partners starts following our processes and standards, they tend to increase their sales because it's a clean environment, they're following our customer experience, they're doing all of those things. So we see an increase in a lot of the ones who've got high completion rate are the ones who are making more money. Their sales are increasing, their margins increasing.
That's awesome. And I love that you guys use EdApp courses for your marketing campaigns as well. It's not just product training, but actually campaign training in a sense. I think that's really unique.
Well, everybody's got to know what's going on. And it's not, and back in the day when I was working in retail on the floor, half the time you didn't know what was happening. So at least if we can assign something out, if their business partner hasn't told them, they know what a customer comes and talks to them about, they can get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. On that content creation piece, we did have a question here. really top tips, Joe, to anyone who's aspiring to be an EdApp authoring? Yeah, any top tips?
It can be trial and error. So top tips, God. Trial and error, frame it out first. I mean, I'm a bit of a framer out. We test it a lot with our team. So everybody has a bit of a glance over. But then it's thinking about who is the person on the end of it. So what I would create for a business partner is going to be very different for our T-Risters because they're different markets. They understand things differently. They need to know things differently. So putting that first, but then having a play. Worst thing that happens is it doesn't work and you can change the slides really quickly. But yeah, it was relatively straightforward for us to for me to get my head around how to create content in EdApp.
Okay, perfect. Good to hear.
That's a great question.
And if you are a customer, you can join our authoring sessions, which we host every Wednesday. It's not a plug.
Which were fantastic when we did them too. So
there we go. Thanks. Thanks, Joe.
And on that note, Joe, if you had a favorite feature of EdApp, what would it be? If you had to pick one, I'll put it that way.
Look, I really love the analytics because I do like data. But then just the course content, like being able to create games in the middle of it and really build that embedding of the knowledge makes it really fun and it's exciting. I don't have a favorite because I like them all.
That's a good answer.
Great answer, yeah.
That's great.
No favorite children here.
That's awesome. And we do have a couple more questions here, Joe. You're super popular. One question here, which I think we spoke about earlier, actually. How did you find EdApp? Initially, I guess, how did you discover EdApp? Was it through the Deputy integration, or was it through Google, or how did that
It was a lot of just Googling, okay, gamified training, LMS platforms, a lot of the Googling, and then actually just getting in there and having a play. I set up an account for myself. And then when I realized that it was linked to iAuditor, it became even more attractive. And then the people we were speaking to are phenomenal. So for me, it's not just about the platform. It's actually also about the people behind it. We're relatively low maintenance, but we also like to know that we're working with, people that we enjoy because we're a brand that's quite fun. So we want to make sure that we've got the same kind of synergy. But yeah, it was Google and then just research and then thought that'll do. And then put it to our exec team and went, here's our new plan. This is what we've got.
Nice.
Love it. And in the future, Joe, are there any features that you would love to see on EdApp?
There are. there are many features. I think one of our things, is it a feature, is it part of the analytics, is just the date reporting. That for us is key because we run things month by month. But other than that, Tash, I know you're on the line. Do you want to throw anything in the chat? Because Tash has got a lot of requests. But for us, the features are great at the moment. We are working through with them. I think the only other thing is with the virtual facilitation, being able to have that, because we do a lot of blended learning. So being able to have our virtual class with all their resources attached so that we can continuously go in there as well, because we might do a session, they'll have their resources, then we come out of it. So yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. I think just got a couple more things going on in the chat here. I don't think there's any questions though. But I guess just to wrap things up, Joe, from your perspective, how have you seen the learning and I guess the L&D world change over the past few years, going from face-to-face to online? Just your kind of thoughts and perspectives on it.
Well, obviously it's changed dramatically. What continuously surprises me is I started in learning and development 14, 15 years ago, and everything was face-to-face and manual heavy. And, I'd spend hours creating my beautiful manuals that nobody ever looked at once they left my classroom. But the ease and this with which we've been able to transition to more digital led, but without losing any of the outcomes, for me has been probably one of the biggest eye openers. And I still get caught on the trap of, but you know, the leadership program must be all face to face. Well, actually, no, it doesn't have to be. So our next one will be, how do we create a fully digital leadership program? And that for me, I think has been the biggest thing. And also the way people are taking in content and what's more relevant. It is a lot more short, sharp games, as opposed to lots of reading resources and things like that.
Awesome. 100%.
Is there anything now that you've learned that you wish you knew when you started in
Good
L&D?
question.
Everything. Everything. Look, I was really fortunate when I first started in L&D. I had a great mentor, but I think the key thing I learned and have been able to keep is that it's actually not about me. So what I think doesn't always matter, because I'm not the end user of the content, and it's great for me to be able to talk, but if I'm not getting any outcome, then what I'm doing is actually 100% irrelevant and redundant.
Got it. One last question here. Do your staff use their own devices, so their phones and computers, when they do their training, or do you have any iPads set up, team computers, or is it all on their individual mobiles, Jo?
Yeah, they do. So we do have people who use that because they've all got Deputy app on their phone as well. So we do have some locations who will have iPads set up for team when they're doing their training. But we are a business, again, we don't have big offices because we're a lot of kiosks. Yep. So we don't have the ability, we can't have it on a POS because the POS is being used.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Any other questions from your side?
No, I know we have just about maybe 5 or so minutes left. So if anyone that's tuning in, if they want to chime in with any questions via live chat, then we can definitely go ahead and open up the floor.
Do you use the ask your peers function?
We have not yet. We've done it on a couple of things, but as a general consistent one, we haven't. We will do it a lot for when we start our leadership programs and things like that. Absolutely. With 1,800 people, if we have them all ask their peer, we could be incredibly overwhelmed. So we will do it for short, sharper, more group settings, and we're coming into building a lot more of that.
Got it. Great. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for all your questions, everyone. I guess we'll wrap things up there. But Jo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
This has been awesome to hear your story of using Deputy and EdApp. Sounds like you're set up for success there with your growth plans. And yeah, we can't wait to see what's to come. So yeah, thanks again, Jo, and we'll speak to you soon.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for having me along.
Thanks so much.
Thank you everyone for asking all great questions. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye.